Good morning. In the Bible, in the book of Isaiah, chapter 45, God says this, "Look unto me and be ye saved, all the ends of the earth. For I am God, and there is none else." This morning, I am honored to tell you how I got saved. I think every Christian should be willing to share that with others. And it gave me a lot of time this week to reflect upon the past, to reflect upon how good God has been to me. My sister and I, we grew up in a blue-collar family in Buffalo, New York. My father worked for Ford Motor Company. And I remember very clearly when I was 15, he turned ill, and he heard that dreadful word, cancer. That was May of 1988, and by January of the following year, I was sitting in his funeral service. I was feeling alone, empty, confused. And maybe that describes somebody today. I remember that as a teenager. I remember wondering what was going to happen next. And so for the next 2 years, so my junior and senior years of high school, I graduated from the public school system. They were troublesome years for me. I was disobedient. I was disrespectful to my mom. I was drifting, going down the wrong path that unfortunately many people find themselves on. And my life was just unhappy. It was an uncontrolled, dissatisfied life that I was living. And so, fortunately, thankfully, I looked up. I looked up because I knew that God was real. He wasn't real to me at the time, but I knew he was real, and I believed him enough to know that he could change my life. And it was through a series of circumstances that I heard some good preaching on sin. My mother and I, we started going to this church, and we heard from the Bible. We were taught from the Bible. Nobody had to convince me that I was going astray, that I was just in bad shape. And as a 17-year-old boy, I put my faith and my trust in Jesus Christ to save me from my sin. And I stand here before you today overwhelmed. Truly, I'm overwhelmed at God's goodness. That's been over 25 years ago now. And I don't have time to tell you how I got baptized in Okinawa, Japan, how I met my wife in North Carolina. I had the privilege to spend some time with some missionaries in Zambia, Africa. All I'll say is this: I have no regrets that I chose Jesus as a teenager. No regrets. And if you're in similar circumstances today, and I know all circumstances are not equal, and I would just end by saying this: you do not have to live with no hope. You don't. Jesus is the way of salvation. He's the only way. And if you come to Christ today, if you ask him to forgive you of your sins, I can tell you this: it's a wonderful life. It's certainly not a life free from problems, but when you have the Lord to help you through those problems, it's a wonderful life. And I would never trade it for anything in the world. Thank you.